Good evening, folks. Hope everybody can hear me. See Budgie Burgers in. Bit of bad news for you, folks. Jack, my co-host, is nowhere to be found, and he was supposed to be bringing our Claire on. So I don't have her contact details. So we're a bit of a miss for a show this evening. There's 9 in so far, so maybe we could just do a call-in chat. I had a whole peg. I've been sitting here for over an hour, putting up links and organising this, that, and the other for to talk about. But since there's nobody here to talk about it, the all's in. There's Black Pigeons in. Well, it's supposed to be the clock showing something went forward or back or something. But I can never mind that. Oh, that's the wrong thing. That was actually our Claire's. This is what we're going to be talking about. Her wee business and her being doxxed and then having to move to Scotland. And the likes of that there, but see, October's in. So, who else do we have on? So, there's Rory Herbert. Look, you get Rory on. You fancy coming on for a chat, Rory? Well, how's Dak? Thank you, Black Pigeon. No, she hasn't ditched me October. It was Jack's. It was him that set up the stream. I don't have any contact with her. Don't have her details or anything, so I can't send her a link to join this stream. And Jack has disappeared off the face of the planet. Apparently, he hasn't been seen since 7 o'clock yesterday. On his WhatsApp and his Telegram. So I don't know what's happened to him. Maybe his phone's broke again. There's a wild habit of breaking phones. Where is he? You fancy coming on for a chat? I hope, Rory. You've always got something good to say. I've been watching Mullingar this afternoon. It's all going off. Not provost. He might well have been. He's sort of down that way. I've heard his English accent and what wished him away. So we'll see what I can find here. I was watching. Where are we at here? Pull this up. This is the scenes at Mullingar at the minute.
Here we are now. It's like a wake-up time. Our country being transformed. Our country's being transformed now from Irish to a multicultural hellhole. And that's all it's going to be. Look around the rest of the world. Westernization, you brought in all this mass migration. It doesn't work, folks. It never has and it never will. It just creates division. That's all it is. Diversity is division. And don't let anyone tell you any different. And what they do then is divide society and play on our emotions. That's all they do. They play on your emotions, play on your goodwill, try to take advantage of your goodwill, you know. And we have to stop it now. We have to wake up. We have to wake up to what's going on. Yeah, I couldn't face my children and look them in the eye, and thinking that I had done nothing about this, thinking that I didn't try and do something about this. No, I wouldn't feel like. And we start finding the ball again, the ground. Recently, for a long time, and whole lot, and mentioning Ireland belonging there, and racist, and that's the thing country that's happening in this country, that people are turning on people because somebody is telling the truth and they don't like the truth. You know, you're standing up for what the likes of Myron, Harry Boland, Paul Pierce, they fought and died for. Your stand at today, your fellow some you know for years telling you're a racist. Absolutely.
Can I share Twitter with you guys? I wonder if I can share Twitter with you. This is from the Irish Git.
Are liars and thugs, terrorising refugees and intimidating workers under the pretense of protecting women, fools no one. Calls the fictional far-right liars, and then in the very next sentence, calls male migrants, who are mostly undocumented and illegal, refugees. Sickening seeing the protests in Mullingar. Government really needs to engage with local anti-racism groups immediately when accommodation is being organised, so that the message of welcome, which I firmly believe is the message of the majority, can be forefronted. The last poll conducted in Ireland by TV and media on the so-called refugee crisis. Do you approve of the government's response to the refugee crisis? 90% said no. That's the majority. To steal Graham Finley's phrase, the anti-refugee brigade. Anti-refugee? Yet again, they're not refugees. Sad to see a small group of misguided, misinformed people trying to impose the presence of others in Mullingar now. The people who organised these hate-filled gatherings hurt everybody, but first and foremost they hurt the people we should be providing protection to. Question: do you mean so-called refugees like this, who threatened to slice the throat of peaceful protesters in Mullingar? Anyway, maybe it was a threat of peace. And I can't wait to see what enrichment this doctor or engineer, I'm presuming, brings to the country. At least that's what we're told they are by the people that support this plantation of Ireland. This plantation through state-sponsored and glorified human trafficking. And why wouldn't they support it? They're well paid to support it through the NGO system and the Irish taxpayer. That's why they're all labelled as poor refugees fleeing persecution and war. But that couldn't be further from the truth, as one of the new residents in Mullingar's TikTok account tells us.
انا نبيع الدخان هنا في باري وما نخدمش ب 10 ملايين في الجزائر يا والله العلي العظيم يا اعطيني 10 ملايين في الجزائر والله ما خدمت تقول لي بيع الدخان نبيع الدخان انايا نشوف الالوان الناس تقول لها بونجور تقول لك بونجور حتى كاع مشنفين كاع.
Just remind me, what war is going on in France again? Anyway, don't mind me. These poor people have nothing. And if you say otherwise,
Rory, I don't have any contact details for. It's Jack has them. He was in communications with her all week, and he's buggered off. If she comes into the chat, I'll drop the link in the chat. Would that not work? Or Rory, could you pass her the link if I set it in the chat? Right, Rory, there you go. See, I don't have, as I say, folks, I don't have Claire's details. It was going through my co-host Jack, who seems to be kidnapped by aliens. He's probably been anally probed as we speak. So, E.T.'s finger going home. Oh, without a doubt, Budgie, without a doubt. When we voted for Brexit, there's the natives, native Scotland. When we voted for Brexit, that was our punishment. There's Kenny Smith. She's logging in now. Thank you, Kenny. Oh, Kenny Smith, there's the guy. Kenny, are you still on TikTok? I put up 3 PA videos on TikTok and got banned for harmful content. They said it was. It was one of the Erskine protest speeches and something else. What was the other one? It was the standoff with Antifa. So, thank you very much, Rory. Appreciate that. Right. All is not lost. The lady is here. My co-host isn't, but my lady's here because I was looking forward to this freaking whole bloody week. Right, without further ado, our Claire.
Good evening, Rags. How are you?
Not too bad. It's actually I've been looking forward to this all week, Claire.
Me too. What's happened to Jack? Where's he
I have
gone?
no idea. The last time he let me down, he dropped his phone and smashed it. And he couldn't get a phone for 2 or 3 days, and he hadn't thought to give his girlfriend my number, so she didn't have my number. I was stuck on his SIM card.
Oh dear. He was supposed to call me yesterday to give me details, and he didn't. So I've sort of messaged him earlier and just been sort of hanging on, really, trying to wait for a link. But I'm here now anyway, so that's all that matters. It's been quite a while, isn't it, since we spoke?
Yes, but as I say, if you can hit me up anytime on Telegram. Everybody knows I'm on Telegram.
Yeah. Well, when the voice chats first started on Telegram, we were in the chats all the time, in the scrubs chatting, weren't we?
Yes. So
till the early hours of the morning.
Right, let's kick off with a bit about yourself, because maybe some of my audience don't know who our Claire is.
Sure.
Our Claire, an English lady that now lives in Scotland.
I am, on the Isle of Skye.
On the Isle of Skye, and you have a small business called Clean and Pure.
Yep, Clean and Pure soap. That's right.
Yes, because I have it all linked up. I spent an hour and a half here setting up that stream, and then I was getting towards 7 o'clock, and I go, "Fuck, nobody's coming." And I'm phoning Jack, and I'm phoning Jack. I said, "Answer the fucking phone." But I was tearing my hair out, as you can see.
Well, this is the thing. I would have been on screen and did my hair. I said to him, "Oh, is anyone going to be on screen?" So I knew. And of course, I've been working today, and I've come home and I haven't done my hair or makeup, so I can't come on screen, unfortunately. I'm so vain.
Well, there's October sticking. I have your links and all in the description for the Clean and Pure website and stuff. So anybody who wants to go along there, it's not just for ladies. Guys can go along there and buy something for their lady. You do products for men as well, don't you?
I do, yeah. We've got lots of products, different products. We've got the gentleman's bar, all sorts. We've got the Lime Cooler. I brought out a new range in the summer, the Artisan soap range. It's really beautiful, actually. Lots of different colours and stuff. But at the moment, I'm not allowed to ship to Europe. So there's a discrepancy between sort of Northern and Southern Ireland, unfortunately, because what they say is we're still heavily dominated by EU legislation. And they say we have to have a responsible person, which would cost me quite a lot of money to set up. But there was a lovely lady that's emailed me. So I am looking at possibly being able to get a responsible person set up so I can sell in Europe, which would be brilliant. But yeah, that's the website, and got it. It's been a hell of a week. Honestly.
No, just I'll give you a good plug and let everybody get across there and put it on their, because I was looking through it, and some of these sites and all, and even YouTuber sites and all, they're looking £30 for a T-shirt, and you're going, that T-shirt costs 30 quid.
It's crazy.
But no, all reasonable price, soaps and bits and pieces. There's a centre I go to every week, 3 times a week, because of Captain Wheelchair, and the ladies down there, they do up clay jewellery, and they make up jewellery, and they make up soaps, but the soaps actually it's like a fleece material.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Things like that there. The ladies are coming to buy it. I love that stuff.
Lovely.
But it's a hell of a lot more expensive than yours, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's such a huge process as well. And before anything comes to market, you have to get it signed off by a chemist.
Yes.
You need a cosmetic safety assessment. So it was a huge learning curve actually going into this. I should have picked something easier, maybe candles.
Well, that's a big money spinner for the centre I go to. It's a place called Pavestone. You can look it up. And they do, you know, the stones, the crystallised stones at the crossway.
Yes, yeah.
Do the candles in that shape.
Oh.
Then they stack a small one, a medium one, and a tall one together and put them together. And there's a lovely wee thing around them, which is all printed up. And they come in a wee plastic thing and then a ribbon tied around. And I've got my mum them for Christmas. Then they done the linen with the Celtic knots. So you can have
sounds beautiful.
Placemats and wee coasters and things like that. Some of it is expensive, but there's a lot of work goes into a lot of the stuff too. And then you have a wee group of women sitting crocheting non-stop in a wee room. But these people are all they've been working all their days, they got injured, or they've had a stroke, or they've had brain damage, or they've had accidents and stuff. And this just gets us back out into the community. Because if I didn't go there, I'd be stuck in this house in the wheelchair all day, every day.
Exactly. That's it. You need that outside connection, don't you? Yes. And it's really important. I'm crocheting a blanket at the moment. Actually, I've got an 8-month-old grandson, and went for his birth. I made him a blanket, but I'm quite cross. When I went to visit my daughter in Devon a couple of weeks ago, I noticed that the blanket was ruined, and the other grandma had put it on a wash, even though she was told she couldn't wash it because it was wool. So I'm furiously trying to make another one for him because my daughter was so upset about it. And so I'm making a blanket and making soap and trying not to get sacked.
I have there's my oldest boy, he's getting married at the end of the year.
Oh, lovely.
They're going to Australia for their honeymoon to meet to spend some time with her parents. She's a midwife. And I'm sitting there rubbing my hands and all going, "Oop, tiny feet, you want to make me a granda?" And he said, "Why do you want to become a granda so bad?" I said, "Because I want to babysit them for you, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to fill them full of sweets. I'm going to teach them a lot of bad curse words and then send them back to you."
You're so funny. Do you know what I said to my daughter? I said to her, "I hope your child's just like you." And she said, "Mum, that's a wicked thing to say." Oh, no. Do you know what? They say you love your children, but when my grandson came along, boy, it's knocked me off my feet. I wasn't expecting to feel the way that I do about him. It's crazy. The love is I couldn't have dreamt what I felt, really. It's taken my breath away almost.
Yeah, no, I have my niece and nephew, they have their own kids now, and my nephew's young boy, he used to come here all the time because the nephew and me is sort of close, we're good friends. And I used to watch Beavis and Butthead with him, and I get the T-shirt and I pull it over the top of the head, and I go, "My name is Don Colleon. I need tip you for my bunghole. Bunghole, bunghole." So the nephew and the girlfriend split up, and she moved way down the country. So he was only getting access at the weekends. And when the sister then left him back down to the mother that Sunday evening, she had complained to the nephew. "What's he doing? He's running about the house with a T-shirt over his head going, 'Darn Holio, and I need TP for my bunghole. Bungholio.'"
Oh, goodness.
So, right. Anyway, let's get on to the story of Claire and how we got to Scotland.
Oh, goodness me, yeah. Well,
I watched you speaking at Erskine. Now, I believe the Erskine thing's still going strong.
it is, yes.
I think there's. I don't think he's in.
We've got protesters down there every Sunday. Basically, we said when the police sort of said at one point, how long's this going to go on for? We said until you move those guys out of the hotels, then we'll stop coming. So,
Well,
yeah.
Just before you came on, I was showing Mullingar in Ireland there, and the people in Mullingar tonight were at the airport this morning, protesting at the airport because they're coming off, mysteriously losing their airports mid-flight. They're protesting all over the place, but Mullingar, they've literally pitched tents outside the front of it, and they're 24/7. They're trying
Fantastic.
to stop the coaches going in and stuff. And there's Philip Dwyer and Derek Bly. Now, I always know I have a lot of time for PA, and PA's never been able to get up and run as a political party. And your man, Derek Bly, done it in a couple of months. Less than 8 weeks. He's now a political party. I think it's called Ireland First.
Well, we've got an application in again with the Electoral Commission. I think it says a lot that they keep knocking us back. I think they are really scared. We've got lots of competent people that are putting these applications in, and we actually had a sit-down meeting with the people in charge last time. And what they're doing is what they allow one time, they're rejecting us on a second time. And we say, well, how can you do this? How can it be okay, say on application 3, but on application 4, you're deciding that's not okay? And they say, well, we can do whatever we want depending on the circumstances, really, whatever we decide, So I think it's huge testament that they are worried in case we got registered. It's not going to stop us. To say we've got our next application in at the moment, and we're due to hear back by the end of the month.
Yes.
Who knows if we're going to get passed, but we have said to them after the meeting, if this continues, we will take legal action. And yeah, it's really, really frustrating. Obviously, it costs us money each time for the application also. So it is something we're trying to do. But in the meantime, we are encouraging people to get into community politics, get into positions of power, whether that be within your school council, the PTA, the local parish, because, these are the positions where you can head off things happening, people coming to the area that's unwanted, lessons being taught to children in school that are not appropriate, so if we can get into these positions which have been taken over by the left and stuff, then we will set ourselves up on a good path to try and change things.
Yes, there's a massive backlash against that stuff in schools in America, I see. And it was somebody sent me the link. I should have kept it to show everybody. And he went up in front of the school board, and says, "I'm such and such, and I'm the mayor of this particular town." And he says, "This is being taught in schools. I have people confirming that this is being sexualization of children and child porn." And he says, "I give you what was it? so much time to just resign, or you will be charged. And the whole place just erupted, like, you know.
Yeah.
So there's a turning in the tide. I was a bit disappointed with Maloney in Italy. She came out all screaming blood and thunder, and you know, family values and Christianity and all these different things, and got elected and went climbing straight up the backside of Ursula von der Leyen.
Yeah.
She was going to turn back the boats. She was going to turn back the boats, and nobody was getting in, and nobody. That's a complete flip.
Won her position on a lie, as so many of them do. Look at the Tories with us. You know, they won their elections basically on the back of, you know, immigration. We're going to cut this down, and we've seen more immigration and illegal immigration under the Conservative Party than we have any other. Even, you know. At least with Labour, you know, they're your enemies and they tell you straight they want to swamp your country.
Yeah. Of course, it's in their actual legal text for 2030. The replacement. But you can't say that on YouTube, even though it's actually a fact. You can't state facts. You can actually, and you can bring it up on the screen, and you can actually read down through it. Replacement immigration. Replacement. So.
No, that's it. And I think because of the getting up in the Erskine demo, because for those that don't know, I'm obviously with Patriotic Alternative. I used to live in Devon, and I set up the Southwest branch there. I was the regional organiser before I met my lovely partner Kenny and moved to the Isle of Skye to be with him. I'm still heavily involved with PA. I'm the admin officer now for Scotland, so I'm still quite hands-on in trying to help out. But I think the Erskine demo, getting up on the stage, really made me a target, really. They didn't like that I was so down to earth, and people were really warm to what I was saying, I think. So that's why we've had the hit pieces from the Herald, which is one of the biggest newspapers in Scotland. It's the equivalent to the UK Times as such, the people that read it. And yeah, they've tried to do this smear piece on me, which actually ended up looking more like an advertisement, talking about my eco-friendly soap and that they give out free wildflower seeds to try and help with the bee population. But it has caused me a few problems. One of my biggest clients is now saying that they want to sever ties with me. And I've said, you know, it's a protected characteristic for me to fight for my people. You can't discriminate against me in this way. There's never been a problem before. I've never caused any problems before. So, you know, I've said to him, if you continue down this route, then I am going to sort of try and seek legal action. And also the local radio station here, Radio Sky, did a most horrific piece about us, just calling us fascist this, fascist that. And he actually called and said, oh, you know, he emailed me and said, could I interview you? And I said, yeah, of course. And on the day, he backed out and just sent me the questions or via email, which I responded to. And when he read out his news clip at whatever, 5-6 o'clock in the evening, he had said that I hadn't responded to anything. And Kenny got on the phone to him straight away and said, you know, how disgusted we were. And he did absolutely amazing. But you could tell from the conversation that this guy was a lefty. You know, he was a pure lefty, and Kenny really dragged him over the coals and made him sound stupid. And when he said, well, why did Claire leave Slough? And he said, because of the anti-white hatred, being told in areas that she can't dress like that. You know, this area doesn't belong to you guys anymore, to which he couldn't respond and ended the telephone call, you know. Yeah. So there's been another piece in the local paper as well, but I'm not going to back down. You know, this is our children that we're fighting for. We have to continue the fight, and it's probably going to get a bit worse before it gets any better. But
I think I was listening to Mark the other night, and this is all these hit pieces and all, and it was on the D Live on Laura's channel. He does a couple of shows on there during the week. And he says that even these hit pieces publicity for people, or good publicity, because people that actually see what's going on in their own communities and stuff and think to themselves, yeah, people are
Absolutely.
Nazis. They're
Yeah.
not far right.
Well,
No,
that's it. I don't
we're
think
not.
my views are any different to what my grandparents were,
Yeah.
So it's just things have slid so far. But these left preach that, that we're in the minority with our views, and we're really not. People have been browbeaten so much. They're so fearful to say anything wrong in case they get called a racist. If I was black, people wouldn't dare say to me, "Oh, don't you be proud to be black or pro black businesses." They wouldn't have the gall, but because I'm white, they feel no way about it. So
No.
it's really quite frustrating, but we just have to keep moving forward. We can't surrender on this.
Right. So how is the business going? Is it?
Well, on my online sales, I've done really, really well, and I've got lots of new customers. And when people have placed orders, they're able to put like a comment in the notes section, and they put lovely messages saying, we're here because of the hit piece in the Herald against you. I've had so many emails as well from people saying, you're doing a great job. We support you. Sorry to hear, the trouble you're under. And it's been bad, but it's been lovely to know that the support you've got out there, and there are people behind us, rooting for us.
Well, if you can see the chat, you have a massive support in there.
Oh, that's lovely. I can't see it at the moment, and because I'm on my phone, I'm too scared to come off in case I come out of the chat. So I don't want to come off the stream. So I'll have a little look afterwards.
Yeah.
Hopefully you keep it up so I can go and watch the replay afterwards. Fantastic.
We're not talking about anything that will get me another strike. So
I know Kenny's watching. He'll keep me abreast.
Ken's in the chat there. So we were talking about. It's usually freaking Jack that says something, and next minute I get an email going, what? For what? And then I look back through it, and then I cut the bit out and I sent it to him, and I said, "It was you bastard."
Oh dear.
Twice now he's done that.
Oh dear. It's crazy though, isn't it? But you can watch porn and different things on YouTube and all stuff like that, but we say anything that's wrong think, and boom, we're off.
Yeah. Well, the Andy Bitneck, he's in another band. Odin's Men, who calls out all this transgenderism stuff and all, they demonetized all his channels. He done a channel because he's ex-military, and it was like a support channel for military fellas. He's done videos on training and this and that, and they even demonetized that one.
Yeah. That's like, did you see? I'm quite a fan of Posey Parker, Kelly Jean. And did you see how she got swamped over in New Zealand? And she had threats under her door, death threats under her door at the hotel, and she's quite mild. She's simply saying that to be a woman, you need to have the right credentials. That's all she's saying.
They went completely freaking doolally. There was a guy there in a freaking crop top, like you see women wearing, like a half t-shirt.
Yeah.
And this man's harassing her and swinging his fists at her. A man, a so-called man.
Yeah.
But and she had to be. They literally surrounded her with security and walked her out of the place, and they were still trying to hit her.
Well, we had up here in Scotland, it was reported probably about a year ago that there was a lady in hospital and she was raped. And when the police came, the nurse in charge said, well, she couldn't have been raped because it's an all-female ward. But guess what? There was a transgender person there. Luckily, the other nurses didn't sit by and let nothing happen, and there was CCTV, and luckily, justice was found in the end. But how horrific, not even safe in hospital now when you're ill.
No, here it's Even down in Ireland there, he's taking a sort of sabbatical. He's taking a break away from it all now. He's a guy called Gran Torino. And Gran Torino, about 4 years ago, it was maybe during the lockdown, and he wasn't working, so he was maybe streaming 5-6 times a week and going out doing sort of reporting things, roving reporting. You know, you couldn't leave your house in Ireland and within 3 miles to go and do shopping and this and that. And then when the season came for the fruit picking, all the people says, well, since we're on lockdown and this and that, sure, we could go and pick the fruit.
Yep.
No, can't.
No.
Playing loads of Albanians.
Well, you know what it was, Rags, because what they do is they pay you a wage, but then they want you to stay on their site, and then they deduct your wages heavily. So obviously there were local people that were said, yeah, well, we don't need to stay on the site. We can go home. And they were like, no, they didn't want to do that. You know, it was absolutely horrific.
Apparently, according to Gran Torino, they were being paid something like, but by the time they'd paid for their accommodation and stuff, they were making £1.50 an hour.
Yeah.
He says at the end of the picking season, he says he went back up to the airport and there wasn't that many planes with people leaving. Like, so
No.
Roy.
But so, well, I blame the government for allowing all this. You know, it shouldn't be allowed.
I wonder if it's Roy.
Yes, they did claim. Oh, that's a great point, Rory. They whenever they write anything and they say, oh, Claire claimed to have been in the military, they absolutely hate the thought that someone from a military background is having anything to do maybe with PA or even being pro-white, you know. But I was in the Royal Navy quite a few, over 20 odd years ago now. I was a gunner, and I really did enjoy it. But you know, I was a bit of a feminist in those days, and you know, looking at things now, I don't think I should have been there on these ships with these men. It put them at a disadvantage. Not to the fact that, you know, don't get me wrong, get me on the guns, I was one of the best shots there, but if, you know, we'd taken any hits and I'd been needed to maybe pull a man out of a hatch or something or do anything like that, I would have been useless.
But it's that argument about the fire brigade and not being you can't use the word fireman anymore. It has to be firefight. Yeah, only
it's ridiculous, you know.
2% of the fire service are female.
Yeah, well, you see it with these police women, don't you? These skinny women coming up. I would hate to be a guy in a really rough area and you're getting your shift allocation and you see you've got like some twiggy-like woman with you. You'd just be praying that you don't have any problems that night, wouldn't you? And I've seen so many videos of these like women, you know, not getting stuck in and these men getting the life beaten out of them. And the thing is, you know, it's not the women's fault. We're not meant to be that aggressive. We are different sexes, you know, but it's just that they're being told you can do this, you can be anything that you want to be. It's not right.
I've seen in the past, a woman can be vicious. You threaten a woman's child and you watch her go. Yeah,
exactly.
They can be callous. You know.
Yeah. No, and I'm not saying that they can't, but physically, we're no match for men. You know,
on a day-to-day basis.
No, we're no match against men. You know, they're faster than us, stronger than us. You know, perhaps we might be a little bit sneaky thinking sometimes more than them, but it's a crazy situation. But it's all done by design, isn't it? We've weakened the military, we've weakened the police force. It's a sorry state of affairs, really.
I had a chat with somebody on in the comment section of a video there the other day. We were talking about Dover, and I says, "Son, you put them in a camp, and she's around the camp of the army, armed to the teeth, 24/7, and they don't get out. Simple as. That will stop them coming. If they think they're coming here for free this and free that and free the other." And the man says, "I did the military." He says, "What was it? The British Navy are less than 88,000 people, and most of them are admin and medical, and you have military nurses and this, that, and the other. And we literally only have about, what was it he said, 37,000 men. Whereby before the Tories came to power, there was 220,000 men in the military.
Wow.
Even George Orwell, I love his books. But no, there's usually a great crowd, and there's Raymond Piper, the Chaz, Mousecat, AlphaGo. So, and there's a couple of names I don't recognise, so they must know that you were coming, or Kenny's told them.
Well, it's a shame, yeah, because I was hoping to get something from Jack so I could promote it onto my page as well, but I'll share it afterwards.
Please do.
Try and bring you some new subscribers over.
And so, right. So you're now moved up to Scotland, Kenny, and you're doing the Erskine things. You're not doing them every Saturday, are you?
No, because they're literally probably about a 3.5, 4 hour drive away, and they're on Sundays. So we went down for the initial one, and then I've been away because we are literally in the middle of nowhere. We're absolutely hours away from anything, but Kenny and I are very much working in the background, so lots of admin and keeping things going, really. Kenny's non-stop working for PA. It's incredible. He has his like full-time job, and then he would probably spend all of his time doing it, but I have to rein him in and say nights off. But he's just so devoted to the cause and to our people, and making sure that, you know, we have a country worth living in, you know.
Oh, I go, if Claire wants to come back on any time, she's more than welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No, I do have a variant guest, and I'm trying to get in contact with the Irish Git and Morgoth and a couple of other ones, because the Irish Git on Twitter makes these videos, and there's we sort of him talking, but there's stuff coming up in behind him, and he says, you know, we're not being replaced, and then they bring up the United Nations replacement agenda.
Yes.
Behind him, you know? Black and white, you know, it's proof.
Yeah. You've only got to look with your own eyes, haven't you? Well, I grew up in Slough. You know, we were a white minority by 2011 then, and I think now, I'm sure Kenny said to me that white people are only 30% of the population in Slough now. It's horrific.
Yeah. Well, even Simon Sideways now. Simon Sideways would he would say he's centrist, and most people on our side would say he was a Sivnat. But now he has a white white only group for the protection of white people on Telegram.
Okay.
He sees what's going on.
Yeah.
And he's sort of, you can see him moving further and further to the right. But I don't think there is any. No, you'll get Labour supporters now that think the same as us. People, you know, you'll get Conservatives that think the same as us. You know, the natural order of things. We're not far right. We're just right so far.
Absolutely. And, you know, we've got guys that were like heavily sort of in the left, and they've seen how wrong it is, and they've moved over to our position. As I say, I don't feel my politics would be any different to that of what my granddads were, you know, and I've only really been involved politically for about 4 or 5 years when things sort of started with PA. And, you know, I came from Slough to Devon with my children, and it was like going back in time 40 years. It was incredible, you know, just so many white people to start with, lots of people volunteering their time, a real sense of community, just really lovely, you know, people looking at each other in the eye and having conversations, which I just wasn't used to. And, you know, I tell stories about things that happened, and they said, how did you live like that? And I said, because I didn't know any different. I thought everyone was was living like that, and then moving to Skye, it's like going back even further in time. I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah. Well, everybody says that Northern Ireland is like 40 years behind the times,
Yeah,
and we sort of are.
yeah,
We're not a backwards people. We have a lot of universities here and a lot of smart people,
yeah,
but we just didn't progress the same as the mainland with the multiculturalism and stuff we have there.
yeah.
So when you do see a person of colour here, it's like, the fuck's that? Quick, throw the banana.
Rags. It'd be all you to blame this week, not me. You'll be getting the emails because of you.
There was I was in Tesco's one night, and the government had decided that they were going to bring in families, and every town and village in Northern Ireland was getting a family from, where was it? Some war-torn place like Afghanistan or something like that there. And I was in Tesco's in the evening, and it was dark outside, and this whole family of them walked in through the sliding doors into Tesco's, and you could hear a pin drop. The whole store just went.
Yeah.
They stayed for about a week and then they disappeared. I hadn't seen them.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. And do you know what I noticed when I lived in a lovely little seaside village called Teignmouth in Devon, and before the lockdown, we only ever really had people of colour coming on holiday and stuff. And after the lockdown, they'd done something with the councils and they had shipped loads of these people in while everyone was, all under lock and key. Well, we weren't. Us at PA were off out doing all sorts. We weren't staying in. As soon as somebody said to me to stay in, I was like, no, I'm going out. So yeah, we were very active in our region. But yeah, you could see there was a concerted effort to get rid of the whiteness in Devon. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. But where you're at now, you'll notice a sizable, like a real noticeable difference.
Yeah, well, we've only got 12,000 people here on the island. Although there are a lot of tourists come the summer, it's hugely tourist place. But yeah, it is nice. There's lots of community. So yeah, it's a different way of living for sure.
We do get the stereotypical coach loads of Japanese tourists with like 6 cameras around their necks. Causeway there, and it's like nowhere to believe. You see it on the TV and they make fun of it, and then you see it in life and you think to yourself, I get it now.
Yeah, well, here literally they just stop their cars or out on the moor thing, and they just literally stop the cars and start taking pictures of the cows. And it's like, there's cars behind you. Keep driving. Yeah. What are you doing? They just don't care.
Yeah. Oh, you get them around the coast here. We used to, when I was still able and riding bikes and all, you would be around the coast road. That's what we would do every Sunday. And we'd stop off at Ballycastle for a coffee or maybe fish and chips or something. Then we'd ride all down, maybe hit Belfast right through and then head back up the other side, up the main roads. But down the coast road, that was it. The wee lay-by, there's a coach pulled in. There they all are.
Yeah.
There's a mate of mine, she's a manageress in the Bushmills distillery. And I used to go up there, I still do. If I have friends over or I'm looking to buy a special present for somebody, one of my archery coaches, he was going through a bad time with his health and all, and he had taught me, and I thought something really nice for him. So I got him his own personalised bottle of Bushmills whiskey with his own printed label.
Oh, nice.
And it's in a nice display box and all. He won't drink it.
No.
That day I was in, there was a Japanese businessman, and he had ordered 7 bottles of, what was it? It's like £178 a bottle of this special Bushmills whiskey.
Gosh, Kenny likes his whiskey. He's got quite a selection.
He's about 7 of them, you know.
Yeah, well, I don't think Kenny's got any that expensive.
Kenny's on Tesco's own.
I only drink vodka. I don't really like the taste of alcohol. I've not my palate hasn't matured really.
No, I like gin and tonic. I'm a bit of a girly. Plans. So, plans for the future.
Yeah, so we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to keep protesting. I say we should hear back from the Electoral Commission by the end of the month. If we're not successful, we get to hopefully put back any, rejections that they've done and get time to amend those. But, it's possibly looking like we're going to have to take legal action with them. And you saw it with Britain first,
Yes.
that they literally got into court and the judge said, this is ridiculous, you just need to pass them. But it costs a lot of money, and obviously PA is self-funded, where most of the money raised comes from us, from the activists. When I was in the Southwest and I got the plane to fly over the Etihad Stadium with the banner. Do you remember seeing about that, Rags? And people, all the left were screaming, how have they got the money to do this? Thinking we're being funded by the state. And it's like, we all donate monthly out of our own pockets to try and raise money for the banners, to do stunts, leaflets and everything else. And it's like in Erskine, we're doing all the funding for that ourselves, trying to help the community, give them direction. So yeah, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. We had a great success with Drag Queen Story Hour as well, getting all over the UK, getting those closed down too. It's obviously quite concerning with what's going on with the war with Russia and Ukraine at the moment. I'm not sure if there's anything within our sphere to be able to do anything about that. But yeah, we're just going to keep marching on, encouraging people to get into community politics, because this is where you're going to be able to make a change. We keep saying about this because you are really effective if you're in the PTA, if you're on the church parish, if you can get into the council and you can raise these objections and hopefully see off anything happening.
Just before you go on there, Kenny, I just made you a mod, sir. So if you want to drop in links where folk can donate, or the PA pages and sites and things, if you want to drop them in for people in the chat, and they can go along and have a read themselves. Yeah,
fantastic. That'd be brilliant. And there's always something, Kenny's a great believer of this, that not everyone has to do activism, not everyone has to donate, but everyone's got a skill, whether that be media editing, researching, collating information. Everyone can do something, and if we all come together and pull these resources, it makes us even stronger.
Yeah. Well, definitely. Because you do have a lot of people there. There's I was asking, I think it was it Big Sam or maybe Mark? No, it was emailing on me. No, it was Sam, and he says that we fella that does up all them videos. They leave that all to him. He does that. So and he does a fantastic job on there.
Exactly, that's it. It's brilliant.
But then again, I shared them on TikTok. I thought TikTok was a great avenue for it, and they were getting massive hits and big numbers.
Yep.
This was a couple of months ago, and then I get a message from TikTok there saying my channel had been removed.
Yeah.
And when I looked at the videos that they had got me for, was the PA ones that I shared.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that, because Kenny joined TikTok and he put up the Erskine videos and he was getting hundreds of thousands of shares and views, and it went crazy. Then all of a sudden he was shadow banned, and I think he said to me the other day that he's even lost his account now. And that's what they keep doing. When we were on Facebook and did that initial on MAM tour, the White Lives Matter banner, that was seen millions of times. And we had incredible support on Facebook. And that's why they, yeeted it off of there pretty quickly, Mark and Laura just lost their Telegram channels again. So, we don't expect them to make it easy for us. We're not on YouTube mostly, but we'll just keep doing what we're doing. And, we get these grassroots communities, these foundations, these networks, they're not going to go anywhere, We're building from the ground up. So they will make us stronger in the long run.
It's hard to build it from the ground up every time that you keep on chopping your feet from under you.
It is. But what else do we do? Just sort of say we're not going to do it anymore? Hell
Yeah.
no.
There's a wee thing I'm going to address with Toffee. Toffee, I discovered this, and somebody had put it on. It was on Twitter, and the Western world, the TikTok the Western world get, and what gets pumped to our children, is not what gets pumped to Chinese children on TikTok.
Yeah.
Chinese kids on TikTok get history, chemistry,
Yep.
lessons. You know, being a good citizen, doing this, that, and the other. Completely different to what TikTok is in the UK or America. And it's
Absolutely.
government bodies.
Depending on what narrative they want you to see. I've noticed, you know, a lot of the time as well, we're seeing like a lot of the sort of anti-white crime, lots of, you know, white kids getting beaten up by blacks and that. And I think it's done to demoralize you in a way, to make you think, oh God, I just don't want to watch this. I can't be involved. But we mustn't look away. You know, we have to continue for them, for the next generation, for the generation after that. You know, even if we're only laying the foundations, we have to continue.
Well, that's one of Brooks' biggest hates. If I send him something, like, don't send that to me. Rage porn. It's rage porn. Because they just want to go out and go post on people. But I says you have to see it to remind you of what we're fighting for, and it's all over Twitter at the minute. And one of them guys, big millionaire businessman in England, he had seen it of a young white kid in Britain getting beat up by black kids, and he's actually offered a reward for anybody that comes forward with their names.
Fantastic.
I had seen. And then that other guy, he's a bit milk toast. Lawrence Fox.
Oh God, yeah, him. Like that guy.
something party. What is it? The parties.
I do you know that twat, excuse my language, said, I think he said he was more offended by racism than child porn or something. That guy, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you have high profile people like that, they're actually sharing that video and commenting on it. It does sort of, you know, because they have a bigger base than us.
Yeah. Well, that's because they're allowed to be. They're almost like a valve, you know. You're allowed to say so much with them. It's like GB News, isn't it? You know, they can say so much stuff to allow people to feel like they're actually managing to vent, and that's it. It won't be taken any further.
Well, that's what I call for Raj and the likes. I call them pressure valves.
100%.
Because you know everybody will go, yes, let's get behind Nigel Farage. And then when he says we're getting out of the EU, it's going to be brilliant. We can bring in more black Africans.
Yeah, he's a piece of work, I tell you. Especially after what we see with the European elections, we stormed those. And if you know, I honestly, hand on heart, feel if he had stood the Brexit Party or whatever he wanted to call it in the general elections, we may not have got it that time, but the momentum would have been brilliant. That it would took it from a 2-way horse race to a 3-way race, and I'm certain that the next time we would have had success. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But he obviously got paid off for whatever it was he did. You know, well, he was a banker anyway. I think it wasn't that his trade. So they're all in it together, aren't they? You know.
Yes, Kenny has dropped the links in the chat there. So anybody wants to go along, the actual site is very good too. And remember the wee lady that passed away there, and she had done the books up for the kids and things.
Yes, yeah. She'd done a lot of the stuff on the homeschooling, and
she was a lovely lady.
Yeah, Anglo-Saxon teacher Abby, definitely. Yeah, and we're hoping to do a bit of a revamp as well. There's lots of stuff going on in the background to try and bring in more of our activism and let people see, you know, what it is we're doing on a day-by-day basis, weekly basis. We've got people out all over the UK. It's really incredible, actually.
Parkgate says that our kids are being turned into robots. We were talking about this the other night. I think it was in Offdead, Ireland, and somebody had mentioned homeschooling, and I says the British government are now looking to pass a law. Nobody knows about this actual law that they want to run through the House of Commons, is to make homeschooling illegal in Britain.
Yes. Yeah.
The same as it is in France, and they did in Germany. Because you can't have people having rational thoughts or thinking for themselves. They must
Yeah.
be part of the machine, you know.
Yeah.
But Abby was lovely. I don't know how. I never actually heard how she passed away. But she just seemed to go suddenly, you know.
Yeah.
One minute she was.
Yeah, I think possibly she'd had an illness for a while that she sort of just kept to herself and just carried on doing what she could for the cause, you know, in the meantime.
Yeah, that's lovely again. So this is, as I say, except for a couple there, it's usually it's the same old faces. My supporters, they always come along every Sunday night, and they're lovely folk. And we have our own. There's the likes of Toffee and Exile Viking, Alpha Go, Gammon Sandwich, Ango Saxon. Every stream that we're on, they're there. The Angry Goodnight, he got banned again, but he was on, what do you call him? The Scottish fan. They done a stream last night together. He makes a lot of sense, but he always talks about he grew up in Middlesbrough, and he had a black friend and a Pakistani friend, and they were all just all in together, and it was all great. And when I get him on streams, I sort of go,
Yeah.
I see school then. When you were at school, how many black people were there? How many Chinese people were there?
Exactly. And it's all very well when it's just the odd one or two, but when you live under their majority, it changes then. You have to live by their rules, their ways, their whatever they say, their cultural ways. We've all met a nice doctor or a dentist, but once they have the numbers, things change, and that's just not acceptable.
When you get people with facts, they just sit and go, no, that can't be true. That can't be true. Now, 4 years ago, somebody done a video about malpractice cases
Yes.
in the NHS, and 84% of them were non-British.
Yep. And I think, did they only make up something like 6 or 9% of the workforce as well?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
So, and then your other man, he makes the argument of, so if a doctor is being trained up in Ghana or somewhere in Africa, and you poach him and bring him across here to work in the NHS, you're taking away from their resources.
Yeah, you're taking their best away, aren't you?
Yeah.
But I'm not even concerned with that. It's just we can train our own. We don't need them. We can train our own. But what they've done is they've broken the system so much that a man can't go out to work and provide for his family. The woman's needing to work. That she's being told to put these children into childcare before school. For somebody else to raise. And they say it's okay. We'll pay your childcare costs. So you're actually working for nothing for a stranger to raise your children. They're just doing everything they can, and you don't see this in other communities. The Asian community wouldn't dream of doing that. Their children stay with their grandparents, with their aunties, their uncles, and everything else. It's all targeted at the white families,
So usually when I have my co-host on, he can be chatting to you, and I'm looking down to read the comments.
I'm going to be sure to give him a good telling off when I speak to him, standing me up. You wait.
No, just really, just take his hacky sack and use it as a punch bag for me. But no doubt, his mommy bought him a laptop or gave him a laptop and got him all this fancy gear so he could stream. And he keeps on breaking his phone. And he has a phone stand, and he has his earpiece and his mic and all. And he's had the laptop for 2 months and still hasn't set it up.
Oh gosh. What's he like, eh?
But he's a good lad.
I know. Well, he stayed with me for a while in Devon, so I know him really well, Jack.
He is a lovely guy, but he is in love now. And you can guarantee he's pussy whipped, I don't know. Where's Kenny? So are you expanding the business, or are you just quite happy where it's sitting at the minute?
Well, I just brought out a new range in the summer. I brought out the artisan soap range and the shampoo bars, which are brilliant. And even the men are loving the shampoo bars on their beards and for shaving and that, although I can't market it as that, otherwise I have to pay for another assessment. So I think I'm gonna keep things on as they are at the moment, because obviously one of my biggest suppliers trying to pull out at the moment, so I don't want to invest. And it takes a lot of time and money to bring out a new product, because you have to have all the testing, then you have to get the assessment done, and then there's all the marketing, all the labeling. And being a small business, it costs a lot of money. So what I've been trying to do is refunnel all of the profits back into the business, so I'm able to buy my produce in bigger amounts. And what I found is, like, sodium hydroxide, which you need to make the caustic soda, which you need to make the soap. Last year, for a 25 kilogram bag, I was paying £60. It's now £130. Everything has gone up so much. So yeah, I'm just refunneling it all in so I can try and buy in bulk, because I don't want to have to put my costs up. I just treated myself to a little labeling machine as well, out of some of the profits, because the postage costs are going up in April, and that way I can buy postage online, which is cheaper. So obviously I can keep the cost lower for the customer as well. But yeah, I've really sort of run out of space at the moment. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing for probably for the next sort of 6 months to 8 months, and reassess it all again after that, and see what happens, really.
I know during the lockdown there, they stopped logging and timber produce around the world, and going to the timber yard to buy timber, it just shot through the roof.
Yeah.
And what we would do at the centre I go to is, excuse me, the cast iron benches, the cast iron sides with the wooden slats. We take a lot of them, and a lot of them are really, really old ones, like 100 years old and stuff. And we would get them all sandblasted, and then rust proof them, and then paint them a lovely sort of green colour.
Lovely.
Mahogany slats on them, and nice new hardware and stuff. And people would donate these ends to the centre, and we would build this up, and we would sell it, and the money goes back into the centre.
Fantastic.
But the actual price of the timber shot through the roof that much.
I know.
Triple.
It's so annoying. It's like gas prices have been falling for well over a month now, if you look at the markets, but they're not reducing the cost to us. But when the prices increased, they increased that cost to us straight away. There was no waiting or having to, work anything out. And I say for a month now, gas has been dropping, and we're still not seeing any benefit to that. Just record profits for these companies. Yet again, our government allowing them to do this, and making us feel like, ever to try and make us feel grateful for a little bit of a grant here, £60 off your gas or electric a month for 6 months, trying to make us feel grateful for that. It's like, you're in control of this. You can stop this happening.
Yeah. Well, that was our government putting sanctions on Putin. What was that going to do?
Exactly. And he's broke even now, Putin. I think I heard somebody say, because I follow the UK column quite a lot as well. They do fantastic reporting when it comes to military side of stuff. I really like them. And I think they said that he's literally broke even now, so he's not even lost anything. And it's just absolutely horrific what's going on in Ukraine. Obviously I don't want to see anyone at war, but Russia are entitled to defend their borders. And us funding this, and the US and everyone else, is getting so many people killed. It's just awful, and you're seeing videos of young men being dragged off, that they don't want to go to war and fight. And I heard UK column said the average life of a soldier is 4 hours.
Yes, I
4 hours. And apparently they're using all Poland now. They're taking all Poland soldiers. It's just, when will it end,
And then somebody showed me a video there. It was on, where was it? It was on Telegram. And Ukrainian soldiers pulling up in a car, and there's 2 kids this size. They're tiny.
Yeah.
With fake AK-47s, with flak jackets and helmets on. Children.
Gosh. It's dreadful, isn't it? Absolutely dreadful.
And then they were dragging them off the streets. It was anybody between the age of 16 and 60 had to stay and fight.
Yeah.
And they were really taking 14-year-olds off the streets to fund an American proxy war.
Exactly. And and that's what we're saying. We're seeing the Ukraine women and children coming over because the men have to flee. Not what we're seeing with all these other fighting age, 20 to 30 age, fighting age men coming over that are supposedly fleeing war-torn countries, going through goodness knows how many countries to get to us for our benefits. And then these stupid lefties saying, oh, they're going to send for their family once they're secure. Absolutely rubbish, They're bringing them all over by design.
Well, here's one for you. See if I can share this with you. This was in Mullingar today, I think it was. This is from the Irish Git.
Dozen racists do not represent Mullingar. The far right are liars and thugs, terrorising refugees and intimidating workers under the pretense of protecting women. Fools no one. Calls the fictional far right liars, and then in the very next sentence, calls male migrants, who are mostly undocumented and illegal, refugees. Sickening seeing the protests in Mullingar. Government really needs to engage with local anti-racism groups immediately when accommodation is being organised, so that the message of welcome, which I firmly believe is the message of the majority, can be forefronted. The last poll conducted in Ireland by TV and media on the so-called refugee crisis. Do you approve of the government's response to the refugee crisis? 90% said no. That's the majority. To steal Graham Finley's phrase, the anti-refugee brigade. Anti-refugee? Yet again, they're not refugees. Sad to see a small group of misguided, misinformed people trying to impose the presence of others in Mullingar now. The people who organise these hate-filled gatherings hurt everybody, but first and foremost they hurt the people we should be providing protection to. Question: do you mean so-called refugees like this, who threaten to slice the throat of peaceful protesters in Mullingar? Anyway, maybe it was a threat of peace. And I can't wait to see what enrichment this doctor or engineer, I'm presuming, brings to the country. At least that's what we're told they are by the people that support this plantation of Ireland. This plantation through state-sponsored and glorified human trafficking. And why wouldn't they support it? They're well paid to support it through the NGO system and the Irish taxpayer. That's why they're all labelled as poor refugees fleeing persecution and war. But that couldn't be further from the truth, as one of the new residents in Mullingar's TikTok account tells us.
انا نبيع الدخان هنا في باري ودام ما نخدمش ب 10 ملايين في الجزائر يا والله العلي العظيم يا اعطيني 10 ملايين في الجزائر والله ما خدمت تقول لي بيع الدخان نبيع الدخان هنايا نشوف الالوان الناس تقول لها بونجور تقول لك بونجور حتى كاع مشنفين كاع.
Just remind me, what war is going on in France again? Anyway, don't mind me. These poor people have nothing. And if you say otherwise...
Thoughts, Claire?
Yeah, he's spot on, isn't he? And this is, it's funny actually, because I remember when I'd travel up to London on the train when I was younger, and you get to the stations and English is the last language in tiny letters, and it's, it's Urdu or whatever it is in bigger letters on the top, because that is the majority of that area. When did this become okay? But the guy was spot on. He, you can't argue with anything there, I don't think.
No. Every video he does his research to the finest detail.
Yeah.
But I did get a slap on the wrists for sharing one of his videos on TikTok, even though everything he said was factually correct.
Yeah, well, they don't want people knowing facts, do they? They want everyone in a little bubble, not knowing what's going on. until
Yeah,
it well, look at London. You know what Sadiq Khan's done. They closed it up. They're using all these churches for all the Muslim celebrations. I can't remember what it is. Literally all these lights and the
Ramadan.
call to Ramadan, the call to prayers. It's just, you know, that's what I was speaking to someone the other day. You know, diversity is a great thing, but everyone in their own country. You know, if you go traveling and you go to India, you want to see Indians there. You know, you go to Thailand, you see them. People come to London. What do they see? It's not us.
Yeah.
We're not there anymore.
We discussed this one night in a live chat, and I remember going to London as a primary school child. It was P7, and we went there, and it must have been about 1980. It was a school trip, and it was 4 days in London, and our school here was called the Honourable Irish Society, and there is the Irish Society in London. Guildhall. So we went there to visit and stuff and see where the school and all comes from. So we were driving around London in a coach, and we're seeing a Lamborghini, a Rolls Royce, man with umbrella and bowler hat on, you know, with waistcoat and jacket and stuff. And this was like 1980. I went back there years later when we were racing bikes, and we got lost. And we ended up in Brixton. Worst place to get lost in.
I was going to say, yeah, you couldn't have gone much worse than that.
Like a Northern Ireland race van with all the sponsors on it. And we were sponsored by a company called White Power Suspension. It's WP, White Power Suspension. Look, you talk about two boys getting out of there really quick.
Yeah.
Don't care, just drive down that road. Keep going.
Yeah, well, you know, it was standards. Like we you know, where I grew up, you don't make eye contact with anyone. You look down at the ground when you're walking, otherwise you're going to cause trouble. We've had, you know, I've been robbed by knife point. We've had razor blades pulled out on us. I've been jumped by, when I was younger, been jumped by a group of about 20 blacks and Asians before. It's just no way to live, you know. And it wasn't until I moved somewhere else, I was like, oh, this is nice. You know, Devon, really, and that's where I fell in love with the land and the people and the way things should be. That was my wake up call. You know, some people don't have to, you know, some people are very aware of it, but I wasn't myself really. I think I was just too busy and, you know, focusing on my children, and it was a huge wake up call for me that we don't have to live this way, and we shouldn't have to live this way. This is being forced upon us. We're being invaded, and we're not allowed to say no. You know, they talk about colonialization. We're being colonized, and if we dare to stand up, you're racist. Well, you know what? Shove your racist, shove your fascist, shove your Nazi. We don't care. Those labels don't mean anything to us. We don't care.
Well, it's just a word.
Exactly.
You know, and racism as a word has lost all meaning.
Exactly. And the others will too in time, you know. But when my grandson looks to me and says, what have you done to protect me, to secure my ways, I will be able to openly say to him, I've done this, I've done this, I've done that, I've fought this. So yeah, my conscience is clear, you know. Yeah.
My main mod is Steve Cray. People in the chat will know who Steve Cray is. Steve isn't here tonight because he got a 3-day ban from YouTube because he had an argument with a coloured gentleman on Jimmy's channel. Jimmy, the American fellow. Look at me a second here. So that's why Steve's not here. Apparently your man reported him. They sent him an email saying he was on a 3-day suspension, so he gets cleared the night at midnight, I think.
Yeah. You guys should try starting to build other platforms, like getting yourselves on Odyssey and that, and start building your following up over there in case you get kicked off, so you don't have to start from scratch. You can migrate people over eventually, you know.
But in my description, you will find my Rumble, Odyssey, and my other backup YouTube channels.
Brilliant.
So I can't stream on Rumble until I have 25 followers, and I'm stuck on 20 followers and have been for a couple of weeks.
We'll get that sorted. Well, I'll share this stream tonight after we're finished. I'll get it shared over into my chat and ask people to give you a follow. So let's see if we can smash that. Well, not if, we're going to get that smashed.
We'll put Colonel Custard's in. So we have 9 minutes left because there's another streamer coming on, and I don't like to step on other streamers' toes. Since I'm came in, we'll be up and running.
Oh, fantastic.
Since I'm great at that. And he speaks his mind. He never seems to get a strike, but he says basically similar. Jimmy from Philly, that's the one. He basically says the same things I do, but he words it better. Like sledgehammer. I just say all this. He's fucking bastard. Yeah. There's Rory. I think Rory's brilliant too. Rory's a bit too posh for us, but Rory speaks really, really, really nice English. English gentleman type stuff. You can imagine in there with a cognac. And there's neckerchief. So, any more PA things coming up or anything in the pipeline?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting actually, because for quite a while, the media have been, they've snubbed us, and almost now with all of these protests that are going on, they can't keep quiet anymore. So they've gone to smear tactics, like the PA Scotland. I think in the last month we've been in the Herald, which is a huge newspaper, as I say, probably about 4 or 5 times. Just keep trying to slander us. But we've got protests going on every weekend. Not just protesting. There's litter picks going on. Caring the community out, feeding the homeless as well. There's all sorts of going on. So there's something for everyone if you want to get involved. As you say, we've not been able to get a branch up and running over in Ireland yet. I know they've been sort of like, people have been contacting them, and they've been sort of sending out messages saying, as soon as we get someone who's ready to lead it, then we've got a group ready to go for you. But it's getting somebody who's willing and capable to stand up and run with that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we have Irish rules here. Everybody knows who Irish rules is, and I take the piss out of Ayatollah about it all the time, because he says every time they meet, she says, "Are we going to spins? Yeah, are we going to spins now?" That's soft, lilty Irish accent. She has, Irish accent. She's actually taken her niece to, because I wanted to get her on with you this evening, but she's in Holland with her niece for a birthday celebration or something. But she is on with Bonnie Ladd and Aunt Sally and 42 next Saturday.
Oh, fantastic! I know Aunt Sally. Yeah, she's heavily involved with PA.
Yes. I've been trying to get her on my channel for a while, but I don't have her details.
Oh yeah, she's lovely. She's a really down to earth lady. Spent quite a bit of time with her at PA camps and that as well. So we'll have the annual camp coming up again in the summer, which is just wonderful. All the regions come together and we go on a huge hike, and then we've got campfires afterwards, barbecues, and it's just everyone is able to have a bit of downtime, like, because we're almost all business, just keep pushing forward, and that's our bit of a letdown. We say we can all come together, and it's turning out to be really family friendly as well. Lots of people are bringing their children and nieces and nephews, and it's just wonderful. You've got people playing music, we've got the fires going, children are running around having fun, just really, really nice. So really good. And last year I think they had tug of war as well between the regions. That was brilliant, seeing all the men get so competitive. It was absolutely fabulous watching them all.
But, there's another lady I wanted to get on. I think she's a friend of yours, Alice English.
Oh yeah, Alice messaged me. Yes, she said she thought she'd be coming on this evening, possibly.
But every time I ask her, she sort of gets a bit nervous, and but she's in the Off-Grid Ireland chat some evenings, and she's a bit quiet.
Yeah, I've seen her stream before though, and she did really, really well, talking about the work that she did involved with the social services and that, and. So maybe just a bit of a confidence thing.
Now, I was wanting to listen to her, hear more about her book and stuff that she's brought out and things like that there. So
yeah, has she brought the book out now? Has she?
Well, I thought she had brought it out. Maybe I picked her up wrong.
Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, but yeah, I get nervous still. I went on UNN the other night and I was really nervous before I went on there, and everyone's like, "Oh, you done great, Claire," but it is a little bit nerve-wracking sometimes. I think you got to keep pushing yourself out your comfort zone. Otherwise, how are you going to strive forward if you just sit there doing the same thing you've always done?
Yeah. When I first started this channel, me and Jack came up with an idea, and it was Scrubettes, and it's ladies from the Scrubs, and we had Jess, and we had Emma G.
Oh, I know Jess, yeah.
And Mrs. Me in it. Oh.
Yes.
And we just sort of fired a question at the start of the stream and let them go. And me and Jack just sat back and listened to them.
Is Dawn Browning still on the scene?
Dawn Browning's on the scene, but it's the time difference with Dawn.
Yeah, well, I see her on Twitter quite a bit, so obviously she can do that, and in her own time, obviously, because she's down under, isn't she?
Mm-hmm. It'll be early morning for her now. She'll be getting up feeding her cannibalized chickens. She was feeding chicken to chickens.
Oh gosh!
One of her videos, and I'm like, that's just wrong.
We've run out of eggs here on the Isle of Skye. I don't know what anyone else is having. We're having a shortage of eggs. It's a nightmare to get hold of them. They're like gold dust at the moment.
That's not a problem over here.
Yeah.
There's fucking stacks of them. They're stacked to the same eggs. I have noticed now that our littles. I started shopping at littles about 2 years ago because I couldn't stand in the queues for Tesco's and crutches. You were literally queued out the door for about a quarter of a mile just to get into Tesco's where there's lockdown rules and stuff. They didn't have the same rules in the new littles that they built here. So I haven't been back to Tesco since. But everything's a hell of a lot cheaper. I noticed I was saving maybe £30 or £40 a week.
Wow, that's great. God, do you remember lockdown? What a hideous time that was as well, because I was one, I wouldn't wear the mask. Yeah. And it wasn't even almost the staff in the shops. It was the people, the women. Like, you've got to wear a mask. It's like, mind your own business. That was horrific, really stressful time that was. But
Raymond, I would like to get Linda on too, but I don't think Linda does streaming. She likes to come along and support everybody, but she doesn't stream. Contact the Woodland, but he's got plenty of eggs.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll make it up in the post. Well, thank you so much for having me, Rags. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed myself.
Is there anything else you want to promote? I've dropped your link in my description, folks. There's a link for Clean and Pure soap.
Yeah, no, that'd be fantastic. If you're able to buy anything from me, that'd be really, really lovely. And also, if you're able to come and have a look over at PA, and even if you're just sort of sharing our content and getting the word out there, everything is much appreciated. So
it's actually been a pleasure having you on. As I say, I was looking forward to it all week, and then Jack disappeared up his own sphincter apparently. Fuck knows where he's gone. They send out search parties for him.
Yeah, I'm going to be having strong words with him.
Well, he could have been kidnapped by aliens. Yeah. They're the big thing there.
They'll bring him back.
Would it be probed though?
Oh God! Right. On that note, I'm leaving. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Lovely lady. Thank you very much for coming. Saved my backside. I'd like to thank everybody for coming, supporting the channel. There's links to my other channels and my other platforms in the description. If you want to give it a wee share or come and join me, I can stream over there and we can talk about things a bit more. That happens all the time. Vincent, don't worry about it. You can talk about more stuff than you can on YouTube. It just seems to be a freer platform. So, without further ado, I will bid you all good night. Good night, God bless, or in my case, Odin bless.